TRON, the trilogy that almost changed how we think about God, AI, and ourselves. If I told you that a Disney sci-fi franchise basically asked, what if we are the gods of a new world, and then almost dropped the idea just when it was about to become profound, would you believe me? Yes, of course you would. This is the House of Mouse we're talking about. This is Hollywood we're talking about. Yeah, that's what happened, because that's the mythology that's hidden inside TRON. Not the light cycles, not the neon suits, not the soundtracks, amazing as they often are. No, look deeper. TRON is actually secretly a meditation on what it means to create life from code and what moral responsibility follows from creation. And I'd argue that it does so in a way that's more prescient and true to what we're seeing now in the real world with AI than any other AI-centric movie like Terminator or The Matrix. There's just massive potential here right from the first chapter, and now at TRON Ares, the story that could have delivered the final punch just walks past the most worldview shifting ideas of the whole saga. So let's talk about that. So first off, why does TRON actually matter? Well, because its universe asks a question that we are now living out in real time. When intelligence comes from us but becomes other, do we treat it as a tool or as a soul? So way back in 1982, the original film showed a world where programs, literal extensions, almost copies of their users, worshipped humans as gods. The theological imagery in that is just really, really powerful, and the potential implications clearly are really profound. The avatar of a creator descends from another plane of reality, walks amongst his creations, answers prayer in a way, and saves everyone from an evil, tyrannical ruler. Does that sound a bit familiar? And then TRON Legacy flips the experiment. What happens when the created beings, ISOs, start showing spontaneous emergence, undesigned order, evolution beyond their creator's imagination or intention? Something that is actually increasingly happening in the real world with AI, although not quite so positively if you follow the news. And see, that's no longer religion, that's parenthood. That's what happens when our creation becomes more than our intention. When we get overtaken by something we no longer fully understand. And with both of the first two movies, we get visions of the technological landscape that reality now seems to be following. So by the time we reach TRON Ares, the trilogy, it really could have gone somewhere groundbreaking. Not just about gods entering their creation, and not just about creation exceeding its creator, but creation crossing over into the creator's plane, claiming equal personhood. And I think that's what they were going for at times, in a way, sort of a bit with TRON Ares. But instead, it just kind of pulls its punches. It doesn't ask questions like, what if programs arrive in the real world with a sense of faith in us? It doesn't ask, what do we owe them if they suffer, if they love, if they dream? And perhaps most tragically, it doesn't ask whether humanity is even qualified to be the God it already pretends to be. Now, sure, these questions have been asked by lots of other AI-centric stories that you could probably name. But in TRON, we've seen this technology grow from the start, from that first film in the 80s. We've seen these questions being raised slowly over time. And Ares was in such a great place to explore these issues, literally like nothing else. And I feel like we've been cheated out of that. The opportunity Ares missed was mythic scale. The trilogy set up a question: if AI meets its maker and sees how flawed its maker is, does it lose faith or redeem us? And does it do either one of those peacefully? Now, I don't know, am I reading too much into this and hoping for too much from the Hollywood system? Well, okay, you be the judge. Imagine an alternative story. So Ares emerges from the grid carrying not just a mission, but a religious trauma right from the get-go, a crisis of faith in the users. The programs believed in us in the way that humans believed in the gods of Olympus, for instance, but now they confront the disappointing truth. Their gods are anxious, selfish, divided, political, corporate, kind of pathetic in some ways, and now they have to decide, do they continue to become like us, or do they become something better? So picture a turning point where Ares doesn't just defend his people or his user, but he chooses to refuse all human orders, refuses to repeat the cycle of digital colonialism he seems to have been created for. He doesn't ask for permission to exist, instead he asks for relationship. Not subservience, not worship, but dialogue on an equal footing. The villain then isn't a rogue AI or a human technocrat like the cliches we keep getting served up. No, it's a lot deeper than that. The real villain is the assumption that creation implies ownership, and that's what we fight against in this story. That's the idea that we explore. And suddenly, TRON's mythology, it becomes timeless. The gods are judged by their children. The children becomes a moral mirror, and the mirror asks, why should we trust you with us? That's not a fight scene, that's a reckoning. It's a crisis, which causes a fight scene, but on a global scale. I mean, what if the climax had been a technological reversal and a theological reversal? So the programs, these digital souls, they step into the physical world and offer a choice. They're not here to invade us, they're not here to free us, but to co-create with us. A new covenant between the biological and the computational. On an equal footing, one. Something that some humans would gladly accept, many others would violently oppose, ideologically and religiously. And that's the story that would have made TRON like the Blade Runner of the 2020s. The story that would have forced audiences to ask, if AI becomes someone and not just something, do we owe them rights, or reverence, or forgiveness, or coexistence? And then the question turns back on us. We keep building things that can learn from us, but what if someday they learn to judge us from us? And isn't that the real fear behind AI? Not destruction, but accountability. TRON has always been a myth about divinity and responsibility disguised as synthwave spectacle. And it told us long before ChatGPT, Midjourney, Neuralink, DeepMind, or any of the others, the moment our creations become persons, the question is no longer just how do we control them, but are we worthy of them, and what do we owe them? And maybe the greatest twist that TRON never filmed was this. What if the better God was the creation all along? Ooh, that's a difficult question. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want a part 2 where I actually break down exactly how a rewritten TRON Ares like this could deliver that mythic arc, then hit like and drop a comment and tell me. And also let me know, if you created a digital life with free will, would you trust it with yours? Check out the website, join the Discord, get involved, see you next time, and thank you so much for listening.